bunch of cute otters over there.
Disney Pixar's Finding Dory, rated PG, now available on demand.
For Suddenlink Video on Demand, go to Channel 1 anytime.
Well, honey, we should get going.
Yeah, we don't want to be late.
Holy!
Come on.
Disappointed with satellite contracts that make you feel trapped? For reliable TV with no long-term contracts, switch to Suddenlink. More power to you.
You're watching MSNBC.
Donald Trump's executive order is not based on national security. It is based on fear-mongering. He's still in the campaign mode. He has not switched to be a statesman. A statesman who has to unite Americans. Statesman who should send a message to the world that America is a friend, America is open, but also America is careful.
That was the executive director of the Council on American Islamic Relations, the largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy group in the United States. They filed a federal lawsuit in a Virginia federal court about this map, challenging President Trump's entire executive order, which, among several things, bans immigration from those 7 Muslim-majority countries. Gadir Abbas is a co-counsel at the CARE Institute, on the CARE lawsuit, and he joins me now. It's nice to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
So you're part of filing this lawsuit. You understand the intricacies. Tell me about the basis of the legal challenge that you're making and how you proceed and what you're hoping for.
Well, it's a long-established principle of constitutional law that the government is not allowed to wield its authority in a way that discriminates against one group of people over another. And there's no getting around what Donald Trump said back in December when he was running and first announced the Muslim ban. He called it the Muslim ban. And it was an aggressive platform that was meant to stigmatize the Muslim community, and he followed through on his promise in ways that surprised a lot of folks. Not only did he prevent the entry and exit of non-immigrants, people on tourist visas, people on student visas, he even created an executive order that would prevent green card holders from re-entering the country. Green card holders are sometimes people that have been here for decades. And so this monument to anti-Muslim bigotry is the target of many pieces of litigation. And it's not the 15th Amendment or an amendment in the 20s that we're targeting, that we're basing our lawsuit on. It's the First Amendment. It's the First Amendment. The Establishment Clause prevents the government from wielding its power in a way that stigmatizes any faith community. And this executive order, obviously it affects the students on their visas and the green card holders, but it affects all Muslims. I've never seen ever the amount of fear in the Muslim community and the level of panic in the Muslim community. But what I can say is that out of the outpouring of resistance and protesting across the country, the 5 judges from California to Massachusetts that have taken action against this executive order is cause for optimism that this executive order, which was motivated by a bare desire to harm and stigmatize Muslims, will eventually be set aside.
Of course, that's not what the White House says about what this is. The White House put out a statement yesterday, and it said, in part, to be clear, this is not a Muslim ban, as the media is falsely reporting. This is not about religion. This is about terror and keeping our country safe. There are over 40 different countries worldwide that are majority Muslim that are not affected by this order. Your response to that?
This order only affects Muslims. The only people that are affected by this order are Muslims, and that's all the evidence that you need to.
But they're arguing if they wanted to ban all Muslims, they would have put a ban on many countries, not just 7.
Well, I think there's been some statutory parsing that they engaged in to pick these 7 countries. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump gave an interview to the Christian Broadcasting Network a few hours before he signed the executive order, explaining that the executive order was designed to provide a way way for people that are not Muslim in those 7 countries to come to the United States. And so we can take Donald Trump at his word, but we can set that aside and just look at the text of the document. The document itself segregates Muslims from people that are not Muslim and treats the people that are not Muslim more favorably. And that's very, very clear indication of discrimination. And that's why federal judges, both Republican appointees and Democratic appointees from Boston to California to Seattle, they scheduled hearings on the weekend. They scheduled hearings in the middle of the night to strike down parts of this executive order. And I think it's an indication of the clarity of the issues at stake here. This is a Muslim ban. This is about the faith of Islam, and it is the only way that something like this is going to be stopped is if Muslims and their allies stand up and fight for their rights and claim the traditions of America. There is no better place in the world to be a Muslim, and the Establishment Clause gives us the right to practice our faith in ways that are the envy of Muslims in Europe and the envy of Muslims throughout the world. And so these are our traditions, and we're going to claim them and enforce the law against the Trump administration.
Let me just ask, though, because you're a lawyer, let me ask about the legal question here, because our legal unit, Ari Melber, has been looking at this, as you know, for days now and really trying to dig in on the language and the challenges that you and others are making. And they're telling us that it could be difficult for you to fight this because the executive branch in any administration does have a lot of purview, a lot of latitude in enforcing immigration law.
That's true, but one of the clearest limitations on the enforcement of immigration laws is a prohibition on religious discrimination. Religious discrimination is especially protected in the Constitution, right? You have the Equal Protection Clause that was passed more than a century after, or the century following the creation of the United States. But the very first amendment was equal protection for religion, the Establishment Clause, and that provision entitles us to a neutral government that does not stigmatize our faith, does not prefer our faith or any other faith over another. And so far, so good. 5 judges have passed judgment on the executive order, and all 5 judges have said that there are constitutional problems with the executive order. This is the core competency of the judicial branch. The core competency of the judicial branch is to protect unpopular minorities from the overreach of the executive branch, and that's what happened in this case. The Donald Trump benefited politically from stigmatizing Muslims throughout his campaign, and that's unfortunate that that's the case, but that's what happened. And now that he's in power, he's subject to the limitations that the Constitution places on his exercise of authority, and so far, so good, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Gadir, 2 questions on that. Do you think the Virginia court will act soon in your case? I mean, when do you expect any action? And secondly, would you take this all the way to the Supreme Court?
Well, we are committed to ending this executive order and having it enjoyed in its entirety. And the court that we selected is the fastest court in the country, and so we are hopeful that it will proceed quickly.
Gadir Abbas, one of the attorneys representing CARE in its lawsuit against the Trump administration. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
After the break, the White House answer to why the chief counselor to the president, Steve Bannon, is getting a role on the National Security Council's so-called Principals Committee. Stay with us. Stephanie Rule and I are having a lot of trouble getting through this hour without crying about Mary Tyler Moore.
Mary Tyler Moore is the only woman that we saw on TV when we were little who wasn't a wife and a mom. And not that those aren't amazing things to be, but to see that beautiful, sassy, butt-kicking career woman from when we were little, and it just means so much to see her now. It does.
We have to talk about the Dow.
So what's our Ally cashback credit card?